Killing machines, the product of an evil mad scientist. Their single purpose, to destroy his enemies. The enemy that destroyed the Red Ribbon Army, Goku. But to dive in deeper to these machines, hello there, beautiful friends from all around the world. I am your host, Blackenfist, and welcome to the birds and the bees of Dragon Ball. And of course, we're going to have a rundown of the androids this time around. Obviously, the most prominent androids are the Red Ribbon Army androids, or even more specifically, the ones that were created by Dr. Gero. However, there are also other androids in the series, or are androids in the world of Dragon Ball, like, for instance, the Cyborg version of Mercenary Tao. He is considered to be an android in the series, and as far as we know, he was not created or enhanced by Dr. Gero himself. So not all the androids are created by Dr. Gero, but a good number of them, most of them, are linked to him and the Red Ribbon Army. Another thing is that there's a lot of different names to call these guys. Android, artificial human, Jinzo Ningen. As we will see during this video, not all the androids are the same. Some are completely mechanical, some are cyborgs, and some don't even have any mechanical element whatsoever. Technically speaking, not all of the things that we put under the android umbrella are really androids. But let's go right into this. The first android that we do meet in the series is when Goku went to Muscle Tower. There he meets an android called Major Metallotron. This is the first android that we actually meet in the series, a completely mechanical robot. Besides Android 8, we don't really know much about androids 1 through 12 since we really never have seen them before. But it's pretty interesting to think that maybe Major Metallotron could be androids 1, 2, or any of those numbers in between. We're not sure, but I think it's a definite possibility considering the fact that he is a Red Ribbon Army android. So who knows, Major Metallotron could possibly have been one of those missing androids 1 through 12, besides 8 of course. Now one interesting thing is that in the anime it is stated that Dr. Flap was the one who created Android 8. Now this is of course something that runs contrary to the manga because Dr. Flap was never mentioned in the manga. Dr. Flap was purely a filler character, and the whole conception of him building Android 8 is completely false in the manga. So of course we could just write off this as a complete big plot hole, but if you really want to think about it, I would have to say that perhaps Dr. Flap and Dr. Gero worked on androids 1 through 8 together while they were in the Red Ribbon Army, and of course when the Red Ribbon Army was dismantled, Dr. Gero of course went on his revenge quest to get revenge on Goku and continued building androids, while Dr. Flap just went on to do his own research as we saw in the anime. So that's the best explanation I can come up with that. We have very little information about androids 1 through 12 besides android 8 of course. The only thing we know is Toriyama's own comments saying that androids 1 through 12 were completely mechanical androids. And they were all very hard to control, apparently similar to Android 8. However, there is one mention of one of these androids, which is Android 9. Android 9 makes an appearance on Dragon Ball Online. It is a cyborg version of Commander Red. However, this does bring a contradiction to what Toriyama has said. Toriyama said that androids 1 through 12 were completely mechanical, but the android that we do see in Dragon Ball Online is a cyborg. So, I mean, take it with whatever grain of salt, whatever you want, but at least there's an image of Android 9 out there. 13 through 15 appeared in the movie Super Android 13. It is fairly certain that androids 14 and 15 are completely mechanical androids. As for Android 13, however, I'm not so sure about this. All the research that I could gather from Android 13 was pretty inconclusive, but there is a possibility that Android 13 could possibly be a cyborg, considering the fact that he did transform, and I'm not sure a completely mechanical being would be able to do something like that. So My hunch is that perhaps he is a cyborg, but I'm not 100% sure about that. One also interesting thing to note is that androids, apparently all these androids 13 through 15 were not finished by Dr. Gero himself. They were finished by Dr. Gero's supercomputer. Something that we will actually see in the main series, that even when Dr. Gero is dead, he has ways to overcome this and continue his work anyway. Now we move on to the main series androids, Android 16, which happens to be my personal favorite of all of them. And, more interestingly, a lot of new information has been revealed about Android 16 thanks to Toriyama's own comments. Android 16 has always been portrayed as a very gentle android, an android that has been always interested in life itself. The most interesting new information that has been revealed about Android 16 is that Android 16 was modeled after Dr. Gero's dead son, who apparently served in the Red Ribbon Army. I'm pretty sure that Android 16 shared a lot of personal and physical similarities to Dr. Gero's son. So it could be very possible that the reason Android 16 was as gentle and maybe had such a fondness for birds was perhaps because Dr. Gero's son did, and he just wanted to replicate that in the android. Now, in terms of canonical androids, Android 16 would be the strongest android that Dr. Gero ever made, of course, besides Cell. And this makes sense. If you're actually making a replica of your own son, you would want him to be kind of a badass, I would suppose. Now we go to Android 17 and 18, and there's actually some very drastic changes with both of these androids. Unlike Android 13, which is uncertain whether he is a cyborg, we know for a certainty that Android 17 and 18 are cyborgs. Apparently, Dr. Gero captured Android 17 and 18 when they were still completely human and did his dastardly experiments on him. We also learned, thanks to Toriyama's comments, their real names. Android 17's real name is Lapis and 18's is Lazuli. We also got a little bit more backstory about Android 17. Toriyama has stated that after the whole Cell thing, 17 pretty much went on to work at a wildlife reserve fighting against poachers, and I guess this ties in all to that scene at the end of the series when 17 holds up a gun to two hunters to give Goku energy. Technically, Android 17 and 18 aren't really androids, they're cyborgs, and this has actually have caused confusion to some people as to why is it 18 can have babies? Well, the reason is because they were never really just completely robots, they were cyborgs. Another thing that has also been mentioned is, if their real names were Lapis and Lazuli, why was it never mentioned? My only guess is that, first of all, I'm pretty sure Dr. Gero, when he captured Lapis and Lazuli when they were fully human, I'm pretty sure he erased their memories so that they could be easier to control. One common theme that we see with Dr. Gero is whether they are mechanical or cyborgs, Dr. Gero had always had a problem controlling his own androids. And that's one thing that 17 and 18 weren't immune from. They definitely had their own control issues, and I'm pretty sure Dr. Gero erased their previous human life. Then we go on to the two next androids, which is 19 and 20. I'll be honest, 19 is probably the least interesting of all the androids. However, even though he's the least interesting, apparently he is one of Dr. Gero's biggest successes because he is the most controllable android that Dr. Gero has ever made, which is why he used him to go fight the Z Fighters in their first encounter. Android 19 apparently was modeled after a doll that Dr. Gero had lying around the Red Ribbon Army. And of course, Android 19 is a completely mechanical android, no human element whatsoever. However, Android 20, the android that is supposed to be the replacement body for Dr. Gero, is a cyborg. The only reason he is a cyborg is because he has one organic element in him. He has the original Dr. Gero brain in his head that somehow he put into Android 20. Some people have speculated on how the hell this could happen, but Dr. Gero, he's a genius. He could have used a myriad of ways to get his brain into Android 20. But now we move on to the final guy, Cell. And this is really the most different guy out of all of them, considering the fact he is not mechanical at all. He is a completely organic android, if that even makes sense. As I said before, android is just almost a term in Dragon Ball. It doesn't mean much. You could as easily use the term artificial human, because as we have just seen, not all of these guys are completely the same, and Cell is definitely one of those guys that are not like the others in any such way. Cell was created by using the DNA of various different species of other life, so that Dr. Gero could create his own perfect life. Cell was Dr. Gero's own attempt at creating life itself, which I guess he did succeed in that because Cell did do many horrible things. You could almost say that Cell is the Frankenstein monster of Dragon Ball. Akira Toriyama has commented that a lot of Cell's designs were based off insects, and that really isn't such a surprise, especially in his first imperfect form. He does become a little bit more human as he goes through the stages of his transformations, and in his perfect form he looks the most human, and he looks the most insect in his imperfect form. Considering the way Dr. Gero made Cell, I'm pretty sure he used a lot of insect DNA to create Cell. If insects were just blown up into human proportions, they would be much stronger than they would be. Pretty much what Cell is if you blended a whole bunch of DNA from different things like maybe dog, human, insects, cows, and then you just blended them all together to create your own life form. That's what would Cell be. A complete monstrosity of nature. But anyway, guys, that was the rundown of the androids. And I know that there are other androids out there in the series. They're not that major. There are the Bio Warriors in the Bio Broly movie, and also the Minions in the World's Strongest movie, and also Dr. Wheelo, who is also considered to be an android in Dragon Ball. However, most of the major ones come from the Red Ribbon Army or Dr. Gero himself. So, a rundown of the androids is a rundown of Dr. Gero's own twisted creations. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and of course I hope that you have known something. I have said something that you perhaps might have not known about the Dragon Ball series before. But as always, guys, I am Blackenfist, and you just got some birds and the bees of Dragon Ball.